Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander notices an unusually large coal-black feather lying on the beach. Alexander takes the feather. There's an ugly flower growing near the base of the cliff. Alexander picks the flower and is startled by its hideously strong skunk-like odor. For a moment he can smell nothing else. There appears to be something etched into the face of the cliff. Alexander decides to get closer. The rock has been etched by some unknown hand. One may need to read about the Logic Cliffs in the guidebook to the Land of the Green Isles in order to understand this mystical inscription. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander is standing on a rocky beach. To the north is dense tropical vegetation. Near the shore are a dozen or so oyster beds. Alexander hears someone coming.
"5 fierce guards of the isle we be. Watch for a foreign man," said he, "with ears and nose, tongue, hands, and eyes. Its nature cannot be disguised. If man it be, then man it dies. Old Tom Troll, smell your smell. Do that which you do so well."
Alexander holds the flower of stench out to the gnome with the jumbo nose.
"Tom Troll I am, that's all I'll be. My nose knows all on land and sea. A flower of stench has washed ashore. A flower 'tis all, and nothing more. Listen, hark you, broken oar, do your duty as you swore. With your ears, please tell us more."
Alexander winds the tin nightingale and plays it for the gnome with the monumental ears.
"A nose is not a way to spy. My ears cannot be told a lie. A nightingale is all there be. No man is near, and so say me. Taste, Grump, that we might know whether friend or whether foe."
Alexander holds the mint out for the gnome with the gigantic mouth.
Grump knows a tasty treat. It matters not what others bleat. No danger is this one so sweet.
"Trilly-dilly, use your hands. Is it beast or is it man?"
Alexander holds the rabbit foot out for the gnome with the huge hands.
Be all you mad? What aileth thee? A bunny can't trill merrily. A hare does not at all taste sweet. A rabbit here is all we greet.
Old Bill Batter, never fatter, vision can resolve this matter. Look you now and end this chatter.
Alexander pours the contents of the empty-looking ink bottle over himself.
By all that's beauteous, fair, and sightly, 4 morons do I sleep with nightly. There's nothing there at all, I say. Enough of this. Let's now away.
Alexander did it! He's fooled the guards! A string of letters floats in the water. The letters spell out, "Where are you going?" Alexander's heard of alphabet soup, but this is ridiculous. Alexander picks up the object floating in the water. It appears to be a string of letters. They say, "Where are you going?" Alexander. One of the oysters is sitting up in bed and doesn't look very happy. He seems to be the only one who can't sleep. In the oyster's mouth, Alexander can see a glint of white.
Why aren't you asleep like the other oysters?
Oh, I'm so weary, but I can't sleep. I have a terrible ache in my mouth.
What's wrong with your mouth?
No offense, but it hurts too much to talk.
If you're having trouble sleeping, perhaps you'd like me to read to you.
Hey, that would be great.
2 dulcimers raised to the degree of 40 half-dulcimers, divided into equal parts by the third of a cackle of grouse geese, put over the result of 10 fine mackles, albeit small fine mackles, stretched over the total of 53 1/8 bottles of wild beast lard.
Alexander makes a grab for the pearl.
Hey, you fixed my mouth. It feels great.
The little oyster drifts into peaceful slumber with the rest of his oyster friends. Little bees buzz around the books as though the pages were laden with the sweetest pollen. Maybe they're spelling bees.
Wow. Hiya, gorgeous. Oh, what a luscious-looking hunk of flesh you are.
Thank you, I guess. Who are you?
How charming of you to pretend not to know. I'm Black Widow, of course. The femme fatale of all femme fatales. Know what I mean? You know, I was just thinking it was time I found my 50th, another husband. It would be quite a an honor to have me as a bride. Just look at my beautiful weaving. It's so light, so delicate. You'll never want to leave my little nest.
It is a lovely web, but my heart is elsewhere, I'm afraid.
Oh, drat! The loss is yours. I'm sure you'll change your mind once you consider the advantages. That scrap of paper blew into my web from those books over there. The wind just thinks it can deposit anything here. Have you changed your mind? My offer of wedlock is still open.
A thread is hanging from the otherwise tightly woven web.
Hey, don't touch that thread!
Alexander snatches the scrap of parchment, curious to see what's written on it. The wind blows the scrap of paper from Alexander's hand, but he remembers what it said well enough.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize these books had an owner. I'm in need of a rare book.
No owner? All books have owners, my good man. And this book owner, bookworm to you, wouldn't part with one of his books for anything.
Isn't there something I can do for you to pay for the book?
Let's see. Do you have an itinerant clause?
No. No clauses at all, I'm afraid.
As an exception, you always should.
Don't mind oxymoron and diphthong. They're fairly limited grammatical principles, you know. Let's see. A marsh pig that does Texas?
No. I'm afraid not.
A dangling participle?
I'm fresh out.
A purple fiddle whacker?
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
An idiosyncrasy, perhaps?
Afraid not.
Ha! Then what good are you?
A mushy swamp lies just off the path. It doesn't look like very good swimming. Milkweed thrives near the mucky swamp. Small bottles filled with milk grow on it like fruit. Alexander takes a bottle of milk from the milkweed bush. Apparently, the dogwood tree doesn't like Alexander standing that close. The fallen log has a good-sized knot or bump. That bump on the log does not look particularly conversational to Alexander. Alexander sees no point in trying to talk to that stick in the swamp. Alexander is standing in a delectable garden. Nestled in the bright green grass are colorful plants growing in orderly clusters. Some of their curious faces peer up at Alexander from the sides of the path. The garden ends at a speckled gate. Alexander takes a close look at the tomato on the ground. It appears to be darker than those on the vines.
What are you staring at there, boy? Go away, you rootless thing, you! Yeah!
Yep, that tomato is definitely rotten.
Hey! What do you think you're doing there? Get your hands off me! Hey!
Alexander picks up rotten tomato and puts him away. One never knows when one will need a rotten tomato.
Hands off, you! Hands off, you!
Hello. Aren't you a bunch of fine-looking young plants?
Goo-goo gaga!
Apparently, the baby's tears haven't learned to talk yet. A red-chest knight stands at the top of the marble steps. A noble white
Excuse me, what land lies beyond?
What land? Chessboard land, you knave.
I see. And is Chessboard Land part of the land of the Green Isles?
It is the home of the red and white queens, rulers of the Isle of Wonder, fairest of the islands that owe loyalty to the king of the land of the Green Isles. But perhaps not for long.
What do you mean?
What is the purpose of unity with the great king and queen dead? The princess is worth serving, but the feud with the other isles is strong.
I must insist, Your Highness. I shall send a lump of coal to the Vizier and the Princess as a present for their wedding, and that's the end of it.
And I suppose you'll leave me with only this stupid spoiled egg to send, Your Highness. I want to impress the new king and queen of the realm as much as you do. As queen of this island, I have every right to that lump of coal.
Who isn't queen of this isle? The lump of coal is in my possession. Therefore I shall do as I please with it. Besides, there's nothing wrong with that spoiled egg.
The egg, though delightfully spoiled, is not nearly so valuable as the lump of coal, and you know it. Your Highness always got to carry the singing stone. It's not fair that you get the coal too.
That doesn't count. The singing stone was stolen by that horrid beast. I should get to keep the coal just because my stone was stolen.
It wasn't your stone. It belonged to the Isle of Wonder treasury. Your Highness always thinks that everything is hers.
Excuse me, my good man, but could you settle an argument for us?
Which of us should get to carry the coal and which the egg? Remember, white is the color of deserving truth and virtue.
Quiet, Your Highness, and let him make up his own mind. I, for one, shall be more proper, and not even mention the fact that red is the color of love.
I'm sorry, Your Majesties. I'm partial to both red and white, but I'm afraid that I don't know how to solve your problem. One of you will just have to be gracious and allow the other the lump of coal.
What a ridiculously stupid idea.
Quite ludicrous.
He was a lot of help, wasn't he?
Oh, yes. Obviously a man of high intelligence. The lump of coal goes much better with my gown anyway. Black and red are imperial colors.
That's the silliest thing I ever heard. Red does not go with anything, being much too self-conscious. White is the perfect accompaniment to any color.
The Red Queen has dropped her scarf on the steps. Alexander picks up the Red Queen's scarf.
Checkmate! Only chess pieces allowed in chessboard land? That's right. Humans aren't allowed in and never will be. Stay out!
Is that lettuce growing in the garden? It looks a little chilled. Why, it must be iceberg lettuce. Alexander picks a head of iceberg lettuce.
Ye gads! Is that cold?
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. little fawn is feeding on a grassy hillock near the sea. There's an odd little creature dangling from that tree branch.
Hello, friend. Aren't you an odd-looking little fellow?
I'm not odd-looking, you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you could speak.
Speak not. Funny is, speech I am and nothing but.
You speak strangely, friend.
Strange, my speech is not. Eloquence I speak with.
But who are you? And why are you here?
Away I fly my home from. Lost I am, therefore. As my name too, can you guess not? It's what I do this branch with, and the way I speak of.
If you're lost, perhaps I can take you home.
Take me home too? Think not I do. Know you I do not.
Alexander holds the sentence out to the creature.
This sentence seems in need of an ending. Perhaps you could finish it?
Where are you going? Where are you going? Know what I do? Where are you going to? Like you I do. Go I with you?
Well, that was certainly interesting. It looks like Alexander now has a passenger. The fawn is too busy eating to pay attention to Alexander. Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Do you have anything interesting yet?
A regular abnormality?
Let me see what I have.
Tickle me not! Tickle me not! Take me home to... Thanks, no! Me want it not! Thanks, no! Me want it not!
I found this little fellow lost on another island.
Coming home I am too!
There you are, you naughty boy. I told you not to leave the island.
Glad I am seeing you too!
A most solemn celebration!
So, you found my dangling participle. I suppose I'll have to give you something. Let's see now. Was it a rare book you wanted?
Yes, sir.
Well, then none of these will do. They've been sitting in the sun far too long and must be well cooked by now. This one is far more rare. A delicious little tidbit.
Thanks.
Oh, so there you are, handsome. What can I do for you now? Have you changed your mind? My offer of dead wedlock is still open.
Alexander pulls out his magic map. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation.
Your candy dish is empty.
I am sorry, sir, but I have no more mints. Somebody has eaten them all.
Well, get some more then.
I fear that is impossible. Without the fairy, I can no longer get imports from the other islands, and we do not grow mint extract on the Isle of the Crown.
Oh, I hate not getting what I want.
I found this large pearl. Might it be valuable enough to ransom back my family ring?
I have never seen such a perfect pearl. Certainly you can have your ring back.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't sell it. I'm a bit attached to it, I'm afraid.
Of course you are. You would be cold-hearted if you felt any differently. I am happy to see a family heirloom back with its rightful owner.
Would you mind if I traded this in?
Of course, Prince Alex. Please, choose something in exchange for the items on the counter.
Alexander looks closely at the items on the counter to make his selection.
I'll take the flute.
The flute? Very good, Prince Alex. May its music always be sweet. Feel free to trade it back at any time.
Thank you.
Alexander opens the rare book and looks inside. The book contains riddles and has a page missing. Alexander glances at a few of the conundrums, but finds himself more curious about the one that is missing. What was the riddle, he wonders? More importantly, what was the answer? The book contains riddles and has... What was the riddle?
Hello. I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
I found this rare book, and I thought of your offer.
Very interesting. Oh, it is a wonderful riddle book. Riddles are much more marketable than spells these days. I guess people believe more in mirth than in magic. Here is the spell book you wanted, and a fair trade it is, I must say. Enjoy it.
I certainly hope so. We shall see how rusty my spell-casting truly is. How fare you, merchant?
Well, I would be better if I could only finish my manuscript. I am a budding novelist, you know.
An odd-looking man is reading in the stuffed chair. He wears a vest, balloon-style pants, and pointed shoes. There's something deliberately silly about the man, as though he were a performer of some sort.
Good day, sir. Is there anything you can tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I'm sorry, but I have no time for idle conversation. I'm too worried about the princess.
Excuse me again, sir. You mentioned the princess.
I told you I'm not interested in talking to strangers.
Excuse me again.
I told you I'm not interested in talking to strangers.
Determined to learn more about the strange man's relationship with the princess, Alexander shows the man his insignia ring and formally introduces himself.
I'm sorry to insist, but my name is Alexander of Daventry, and...
I appreciate the offer of the ring, Alexander, but I'm afraid I'm already spoken. Daventry? Where have I heard of Daventry? Flying flit mice. You must be Prince Alexander. Cassima told me about you when she arrived home. How came you here?
Why, by a ship now wrecked upon the sand. But you know Cassima? She truly spoke of me?
Yes, I saw her briefly when she first returned home. She mentioned a prince to me, a Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm afraid that was before she was told about her parents' deaths. You see, she arrived home a few weeks too late. The king and queen thought they'd never see her again. It is said they died of heartbreak. I'm afraid she's blamed herself.
What a terrible homecoming. If we had only known.
Terrible indeed, poor thing. Everyone in the kingdom seems to despair with her these days. The streets are silent.
Where is she now?
The princess is sequestered in mourning. It's a rather dated tradition, and not required, but the Wazir says she insisted out of respect.
I see. You've yet to say who you are, and how you know the princess.
I? Oh, pardon me. My name is Jallo. I am clown to the royal court, and have been since the marriage of Casima's parents, King Caliphim and Queen Alaria. Oh, those were the happy days. The pair of them were so full of joy and life, so in love. And Casima's birth. It would be hard to explain how long they had waited, how they had hoped for a child. I mean, she was such a charming little thing, smart as a whip, kind and sweet. Oh, she means everything to this kingdom, Alexander, and to me. I'm so terribly worried about her.
About her grief over her parents, you mean?
Well, the truth is, I do not trust the Wazir or his plans for Casima. I'm still living at the Castle of the Crown as court clown, his clown. But it is more to keep my ear to the ground than out of loyalty. I wish I knew what the princess thinks these days. If only I could find Sing Sing, Casima's pet nightingale. I might be able to send the princess a message. As it is, I must wait for the end of her seclusion.
What can you tell me about the Wazir?
The Wazir? Now there's a dangerous subject. His name is Abdul al-Hazred. He came to the kingdom 15 years ago. The king was fascinated by his knowledge and his fine-sounding ideas. It didn't take long for al-Hazred to convince the king to trust him with the minor problems of daily government. You see, Caliphim had a wife and a new daughter he wanted to spend time with. Al-Hazred became Wazir.
And now?
Well, he's had his eye on Casima ever since she was a young girl. And she is the only thing between him and the throne.
Do you think he means to harm her?
Oh, I honestly don't know. I think he'd rather keep her as wife. But whatever his plans for the princess, he will use her to his best advantage. That's his way.
Perhaps he has charmed her. Perhaps she cares for him now.
The Wazir is capable of anything. And Casima must be vulnerable and lonely right now. Still, she has always instinctively distrusted him. Casima has a good head on her shoulders. I'd be surprised if she's truly fallen for his words of love. Now I must return to the castle. Look, I don't want to arouse suspicion. I'll try to meet you here again later.
Thank you for the information, Jallo. Be very careful.
Alexander is carrying a book from the bookshop. Alexander is a little busy for that right now. Perhaps he should try it again later.